Of course, we start with what is on the Daily Nation, your number one paper across the country. And the headline that the Daily Nation is going with today are the talks between the two teams, the National Dialogue Committee, that is between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga's team, that has been happening at the Bomas of Kenya. Just looking at that, it says bipartisan talks, but Ruto, Raila strike common ground. But it also goes ahead to say, but the committee says its final report will include a list of the contested issues. Just to give the viewer a brief of what this story on page 4 says, give and take, the National Dialogue Committee yesterday agreed to discuss all agenda items proposed by both the ruling Kenya Kwanza Alliance and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. A major breakthrough in planned negotiations. This includes Azimio's demands on the cost of living and audit of the 2022 elections, as well as the government's proposals on the offices of official opposition leader and prime cabinet secretary. That story is on page 4, written by our very own Moses Nyamori. But Daktari, let me start by picking your thought. It had been a push and pull with politicians speaking in political podiums and saying that we will not agree to have a certain issue. For instance, Kenya Kwanza saying we will not talk about the election because the election were done and dusted. And Azimio saying, look, we must talk about the cost of living because that is the main reason as to why our people went to the streets. But now, with this message coming from the Bomas of Kenya, what does it show?
Thank you. If you look at the front page of Daily Nation, I must commend Daily Nation today for having put a photo or a picture that depicts hope. When you see a smile, I think that to me is now what we would call the handshake or the smile shake. That is huge. It means a lot to the country. It means a lot to us in the private sector, the business people. It gives hope to Kenyans that at least the R&R, Raila and Ruto, seems to be talking now. And you'll see to what extent that impacts just the mood of the country. That to me is what I'm seeing. They say a picture means what? How many words?
1,000 words.
Exactly. Even without reading the rest of the paper. Yes.
However, there were lots of grandstanding. For instance, by Kenya Kwanza agreeing to talk about the audit or to discuss the audit of the previous general election, then people would ask, then what next? Because from that election, you already have a government in place. I know Azimio is saying that they believe there was interference in the election, but a government is already in place. So to what gain is this discussion, is this audit?
Well, the framework that was reached at Bomas yesterday was basically to just lay down areas of discussion. This is going to be a discussion and a debate that will go on and on. But just the fact that they have agreed that they can talk about ABCD. I sit here, being from the IT side of things. I know technically what really that means. But truth be told, accepting, you can come and say that, hey, you know what, you're a thief, and I want us to talk about that you're a thief. I said, okay, fine, come. Tell me where you think that I'm a thief, and let's have the discussion. So this is just basically to open the conversations. That doesn't mean that, we will nullify the elections or whatever it is. But I think just accepting that, hey, we can sit down and talk about this. Yeah.
Well, this comes at a time when Parliament, both houses, sort of ratified or entrenched the dialogue committee, and now it will be working for 60 days. And there is a rider, and Moses Nyamori says, but in a telling rider, the team indicated that its final report to Parliament will include a list of agreed and unagreed issues. Furthermore, in the event of irreconcilable differences on some of the issues during the deliberations, President Ruto and Mr. Odinga would be required to offer direction and resolution. I know you don't sit in that committee, but you have observed perhaps the mood of the members of that particular committee, as well as the mood of the other politicians outside. If it gets to Parliament, because they are saying the report will include the both agreed and issues that have not been agreed on, do you think, as an outsider, would you prefer, perhaps, that Parliament would do as it has done to previous committees, parliamentary committees, where it can make changes that, look, you guys at the committee did not agree on this, but as a House, we think we can also strike an agreement about one thing that we've not agreed on, or we think one of the things that you did not agree on, we can find a way to work around it. Do you think Parliament should have that power to amend what will have been agreed on?
I need to state in the onset that full disclosure, I'm a member of, let me for now call it the Popular Initiative, the one that we launched together with the PLO and Dr. Green last Sunday,
sure.
Looking at how best can we actually drive the issues of Katiba review. But that doesn't mean that I don't support what's going on in the parliamentary dialogue. Truth be told is that, yes, at the Bomas, they'll come up with their proposals that will be taken to Parliament. And Parliament can also review those proposals, amend those proposals, and vote up and down, depending on what they bring to the table. There are also issues, as you've listed there, that actually touch on the Constitution itself. That is where we'll also have a national debate, whether the popular initiative that we are championing is the best approach, or attempts to actually amend the Constitution through parliamentary initiative, which actually is provided for in the law. But to your very specific questions, yes. I mean, at Parliament, I'm not a member of Parliament, but even as an outsider or observer, and somebody who also understands what happens in some of those platforms. Parliament, when it's taken to the floor of Parliament, both National Assembly and the Senate, there will still be amendments based on the proposals that actually will come. And that's where also numbers in Parliament matter.
Well, you said you're a member of the Popular Initiative.
Yes.
And with this agreement yesterday, your likes and other Kenyans who have their contributions will be allowed to table their concerns before the committee. Are you planning to do that? And what are these issues that you want addressed when eventually you do?
Let me also be a little bit clear on this. There are two provisions. There are two approaches that the Constitution provides for in efforts to actually amend the Constitution.
All right.
There is the parliamentary initiative, which is partly what the dialogue might end up attempting to do. And there is popular initiative, that any Kenyan on goodwill can actually come up with a proposal on the constitutional amendment and then subject it to the process as prescribed in the Constitution. So these two initiatives actually will run parallel to basically just educate Kenyans on that. We don't think that there's a way that you can convert a popular initiative to actually serve as a tributary to go into the parliamentary initiative, and vice versa. In fact, once you've started a parliamentary initiative, you also can't turn around and circumvent it to actually appear like it's a popular initiative. But remember, that is partly what the challenge that BBI had. So a popular initiative remains a popular initiative. A parliamentary initiative remains a parliamentary initiative. And I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, that there are aspects of the parliamentary initiative that cannot be addressed in that sphere until we go to a referendum. Same with popular initiative. The difference with the popular initiative is that obviously, talking from my side, it's supposed to be popular. It just happens that it was given that name.
Yeah, sure.
But it will end up being the most popular in the sense that it creates an opportunity to actually, with the proposal, to go to the county assemblies. Those who actually sit in the county assemblies are basically representatives of wards. So you are attempting to actually go to the very basic unit of governance or representation. And so you want to actually be able to open up an opportunity for as many Kenyans to actually be part of this. Those two initiatives are separate, parallel. The processes are clear in the Constitution. And we will be looking at a raft of areas that, you know, the parliamentary initiative might, or the national dialogue might pick from some of the thoughts and ideas that we will be promoting. The part of the difference with other initiatives that have attempted to actually change the Constitution and fail, like Okoa Kenya, Punguza Mzigo, BBI, is public participation, the genuine involvement of the Kenyan people. That has been part of the problem with a lot of those initiatives. If you looked at Okoa Kenya, it was being championed by one side of the political divide, and the other side of the political divide, which was in government, did not support it, and so you didn't actually have that opportunity. If you look at Punguza Mzigo, it was a good proposal, but nonetheless, it didn't enjoy the political goodwill. If you look at BBI, you know, it was on technical grounds and legal grounds that did not meet the threshold of the Constitution. I know you might ask me that, hey, but how about the parliamentary initiative or the national dialogue at Bomas? That's fine, but it also has its own limitations in terms, especially when you're looking at a popular initiative where we are now basically opening the platform for Kenyans to actually give views on a raft of areas. We're not just limiting Kenyans to maybe the 2 or 3 or 8 areas that we might be proposing, but we're opening an opportunity for Kenyans to give views on areas they want to actually be adjusted in the Constitution.
But Dr. I don't see a difference then between what you're doing and what is happening at Bomas, because at the end of the day, what we want are reforms, what we want are changes in the country. Then one would say, why then don't you merge? Because definitely whatever is going on at Bomas is going to get to the people at some point, because they have already invited opinion to come to this. Isn't your side finding, and you have all the right to do this, but engaging in a longer process, while perhaps you could just merge brains, merge ideas, and say, go to the committee and say, look, this is what we are pushing for?
Well, there's no long and the short way in any of the proposal. I mean, any of the initiatives, and I think we also need to move away from the thought that we can have a shortcut to actually amend the Constitution. That there's an easier way to actually amend the Constitution, or there's a cheaper way. There's none. The most important thing is to what extent are Kenyans involved. And I'm being here as a Kenyan of goodwill. When we get to a point whereby we are satisfied that the other process is, in my view, the best, at least accommodates the needs of Kenyans or the views of Kenyans, that's fine. If the dialogue guys finds it useful, that what we are doing is the best, which I think it is, to bring in the views of more Kenyans. I think that they will also see the sense and say, hey, you know what, Mark, Pielo, Kalua, and the team, we are joining you because I believe that there are areas that are of common good. And if we mean well for Kenya, which I think that we all do, there will be no problem trying to come together for the good of Kenyans.
Well, I see some of the issues that the team has agreed to talk about, and this is according to that article by Moses Nyamori and Ndubi Moturi on page 4 of the Daily Nation, is that they will speak about economic and social rights. I believe this includes the cost of living that Azimio has been pushing. They will also speak about electoral justice. This includes the audit of the previous election. They will seek to entrench the NGCDF. They will also seek to have the office of the official opposition. Let me go to these two issues, because even before we go for a break, the entrenchment of the NGCDF and the also entrenchment of the office of leader of official opposition. From where you sit, is it something that is necessary at this point?
Well, we must just agree that we have had we gave ourselves a great constitution. That is something that I think all Kenyans appreciate. The world over, we are hailed for that. However, there are areas that we think might need to be addressed 13 years down the line. Things have changed. The global dynamics have changed. As you already can see, technology is driving economic progress and even the way we interact across the country and globally. There are a number of things that actually have changed. If you just go to actually those two, NCDF, you know, in the Constitution we have devolution. And devolution basically devolve governance and resources.
Dr. Matunga, I want you to hold your thoughts on NGCDF. It's exactly where we'll start from, even as we look at what is on the top pages of all the other dailies. Yeah. But at this point, we want to take our first break here on AM Live, NTV. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. We still expect to have the Nakuru East Member of Parliament, David Gikaria, our producer, Mabel Achieng, doing her best to reach the lawmaker who had confirmed that he will be here. But I already have in studio Dr. Mark Matunga, who is with us and has already started commenting on some of the top stories. We take that break.
Reach your audience instantly and make a lasting impression with Nation Sema. Affordable SMS at 0.3 Kenya shillings. Own sender ID for 10,000 Kenya shillings plus 10,000 free SMS. To sign up, please call 0790 111 111 or email us on nationsema@ke.nationmedia.com.
Playing video games at a professional level takes a lot of skill, a lot of practice, a lot of discipline, just like any other sport. It's not an easy journey, especially when you have a lot of eyes on you and you're coming in as a minority in the space. Here in Kenya, I'd like to think I'm well loved, but feeling all that love in South Africa, it feels like, yo.
The crowd is into it.
I think we're over. It's over.
The crowd is into it. Great block. Oh, this one is over. Yeah.
Are you ready for a challenge that could change your life? Introducing #Nation Scholarship Challenge. We all know that getting an education can be tough, but we also know that a scholarship can make a huge difference. That's why Nation Media Group and Goodwill are giving you the chance to win 80,000 Kenya shillings. All you need to do is to post a video telling us why you want this scholarship and how it will help you achieve your goals. Don't forget to use the #Nation Scholarship in your post. It's super easy, and by taking part, you'll be part of a global community of people who are all working towards their goals. So if you're thinking about pursuing higher education or have big career aspirations, this is your chance to take a step forward. Don't wait too long. Complete your Goodwill profile and share your story with us now.
Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo Kilifi. SMS Vipingo to 22365 or call us today on 0740 400 215. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, welcome back. You are watching AM Live NTV. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. Before we took the break, we were discussing with Dr. Mark Matunga on some of the issues that the National Dialogue Committee will be talking about. Remember, they struck a deal yesterday and agreed that there will be talk about everything that the two sides have, and that in case there is something or an irreconcilable issue, they will be referring back to their team lead, their bosses, I should say, President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga for direction. But you were talking about the entrenchment of the NGCDF, Dr. Mutunga, and you said the country or the constitution already has devolution. So, yeah. And functions have been devolved, monies have been devolved, and now we are seeing members of parliament and even the National Dialogue Committee speaking about entrenching the NGCDF. So, will this then lead to duplication?
There will be no duplication. Actually, I think that NCDF, and so I'd picked it from the point of view of devolution. Mm-hmm. So we gave ourselves a good constitution. Devolution is a good thing, and it has worked quite well in some counties, and in some counties it has not worked. In some counties, like my county of Homa Bay, devolution was basically a curse, just because of leadership. Now, what needs to happen is that there should be need to actually review the supreme law to actually strengthen devolution and go further, because right now we devolve resources and functions to the county. And then things hang there. Money is sent. You saw that recently the president of the current government made sure that all the monies that were owed to the counties for last financial year was sent to them. That money was sent. But did it go to the people? No. It went to the counties, the 47 counties, and then it hangs there. The executives there or the legislators are there, basically consume it at that level. It pays salaries and whatever and all of that. And so it never really gets to the ground. It never really gets to the people themselves. Actually, unfortunately or fortunately, on NCDF is almost the only money right now that reaches the grassroots, regardless of how, yes, regardless of how some members of parliament misuse it. You will find that in some cases, in most cases, it is actually the only money that gets the grassroots. And that is a view that I know might be unpopular with some people, but just telling you the truth, there are 150 million shillings that is actually given to members of parliament. Most of it gets to the villages, it gets to the schools, it gets to build the fees, the offices of chiefs. Something that actually most of that should be done by the counties. And in most counties, that never happens. So maybe a balance needs to be found, whereby, yes, some element of NCDF still needs to be there, entrenched or otherwise. It is something that I support. But we need to actually take devolution further to the wards. That is when we will actually all see the fruits of devolution, or really the fruits of the new Katiba. So actually, I'm modifying that. I'm saying that I don't oppose it. I think that it would be a good idea if it can be entrenched, strengthened, and actually structures put in place around it. Because all of these things is about economic prosperity and progress for all of us, and that is what Kenyans are crying for. Let
me play the devil's advocate here.
No, don't be the devil. Just play your role.
Yes, let me ask,
yes,
because we already have, the Constitution has two levels of government.
Yes.
The national government, and we have the county governments, the devolved governments.
Yes.
already we are having resources shared amongst these two levels of government.
Yes.
And the Constitution and the County Governments Act define what is devolved and what remains at the national level. The reason as to why I asked whether then this would duplicate roles is when NGCDF, for instance, offers bursaries, we're having county governments doing the same and issuing to the same people, the same learners in the very, because they're like the politicians have been telling us, they're no citizens of the county government and citizens of the national government. That duplication is what might lead, according to me, to loss of resources, loss of money. Don't you think then we will stay at a risk once this is entrenched?
There will be no risk. Maura, the biggest problem that we've had, and that's why we're actually calling for the review of the Constitution, is lack of full implementation of that Constitution. There are elements in the Constitution that actually we sort of like left hanging. Like let's say the 15%. And I'll address your question of duplication. Let's say 15% that is supposed to, or at least 15% that is supposed to go to the counties. That money goes, but like I said, it sort of hangs there. We left the opportunity for, we put ourselves at the goodwill or at the mercy of a good leader. Whereby we're saying that maybe we're hoping the regime, that regime will devolve as much as possible, but not less than 15%. That is an area, a gap that we need to patch, that we need to make it mandatory, and we need to be clear on what actually goes to the county and what goes beyond the county. Now, when you're talking of duplication, you know, NCDF now, and that is when, by the time you are entrenching this in the Constitution, NCDF now has by Act of Parliament, they defined areas that they are focusing on, and that is security. That is why you see them building offices of the chiefs and police posts, and that is important to the community, that we have security. You also see them intervening in the area of education. You see now, I mean, a lot of the primary school that you went to must be old now. The one that I went to must be old. But you see that money going in to actually build more classes, renovate schools, at least for the members of parliament that actually do well with it. And so, you know, it will be defined which fund does. And even if it gets to a point whereby when you devolve this, and basically define it properly, there'll be no duplication of whether I'm getting bursary twice or not, whether I'm getting bursary from here or from there. I think all that, what you're saying is duplication, is part of the reason we need to review the law to be very clear and have those channels. Just like I was telling you that our popular initiative has its way of doing things defined by the Constitution. The parliamentary initiative has its own track defined by the Constitution. We then can also actually ensure that we end up with a situation whereby there's no duplication of funds, there's no duplication of roles, and we do not leave ourselves or dangerously lend ourselves to the mercy of a good leader or the goodwill of a leader, because chances are you might end up with a rogue leader. Then when you end up with that situation, what happens? That is very possible, even in Kenya.
All right. We need to move forward with this conversation so that we also now get to our topic of the day. But just to also give our viewers what the other dailies have as their front page. Taifa Leo, also products from the Nation Center here, Nation Media Group, says Mwanzo Mpya, of course, speaks about that dialogue, National Dialogue Committee that is ongoing, the fact that they struck a deal. And they're actually asking, because it appears like it is the president who ceded ground. So is it a win for Raila Odinga? Because Taifa Leo says on the page, and this is something I'll be showing our viewers right now on page 2, that Raila kifua mbele katika mazungumzo ya Bomas. This, they say, is of course because several of the issues that these teams have agreed to speak about are issues that were proposed by the opposition right there. just to say what it really says. Baada ya wiki kadhaa za, I'll just get to the hard copy so that it's even clearer here. Baada ya wiki kadhaa za malumbano kati ya wawakilishi wa muungano wa Azimio na Kenya Kwanza, upande wa serikali hatimaye viongozi hao wameonekana kuweka tofauti zao kando na kuweka maslahi ya nchi mbele. By the Kenya Kwanza side ceding ground to talk about elections, to talk about the cost of living, which they had vowed not to discuss about, is it sort of a fast win for the Azimio side?
I wouldn't look at it that way, Maura. I see a situation whereby it's a win-win for both sides. Just by somebody saying that, okay, fine, you know, they had refused you at the gate not to come in because you can't come in, and then you cried, and then they allowed you to come in. Okay, fine, come in. Let me hear. What are you going to say? Mm-hmm. It is the beginning of a debate, and definitely a good thing. I wouldn't, and Maura, this is the problem, and I'm accusing you of the way you have framed that question, and even the way the media is actually postulating that. Actually, it should be that, hey, it's a win-win for Kenya that these guys are able to talk about anything and everything. Mm-hmm. So it shouldn't be looked at as, you know, the opposition has won or the government has lost. I would look at it as that it is a good opportunity to have that conversation, because, you know, it's always been about noise. Hey, fungua sava, you know, unga. I said, okay, fine, now let's talk about mambo ya sava. Do you even understand the technical aspects of this when you say fungua sava? Mm-hmm. You know.
We will come back to another story on Taifa Leo, but I also want us to look at one of the stories, or what the Standard has as its top page, and that is the story about Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino. He was acquitted of misuse of firearm charges. This is a story by DJ Evolve. DJ Evolve, why Babu Owino was freed, and the paper goes ahead to say, just to so that I zoom in for the viewers to see what the Standard actually says. An 18-page deal with DJ, witnesses who recanted evidence, questions without answers, sheer or deliberate negligence. All this were at play as Embakasi MP Babu Owino was cleared for the shooting of DJ Evolve at a Nairobi club on January 17, 2020. Basically, the Standard is breaking down what transpired in court through the documents that were presented by the prosecution and the defense that was put up by the defense. I don't think there's much to speak about this. Just was to show our viewers what the Standard has as its top page. The Business Daily speaks about taxes and how it will hit farms and consumers as from September. A couple of taxes that take effect this Friday, and how it's going to affect some of the people. Just also to get your comment on it, I'll read a brief for you on what exactly that says. There is 3% digital assets tax that will be taxed on sale of cryptocurrency, content, music, ebooks, photos, documents, videos, logos, animations, illustrations, and social media. Then there is an export levy that goes for 17.5% on imported iron, steel, and clinker. Then there is another 10% levy on imported paper, sacks, and bags. There is also a mandatory electronic tax, invoices, or lose ability to claim expenses. Basically, Daktari, Business Daily is telling us, and this is a story by Dominic Omondi and Julian Samboko. Business Daily is telling us some of the taxes that are taking effect from this Friday. And this comes in the new financial year, even as the country seeks to raise more money to, you know, lead its development agenda. What would you say then, as a country, with all these taxations that we are seeing, taxations in various industries? Just recently, the Finance Act took effect. Are we pumping in enough to get us out of the financial crisis, the financial hole that we are in?
Maura, that's a good question, and I'll always commend you if you ask me a good question or frame it in the in the best way. That's definitely really something that we actually need to discuss. And this is how you deal with issues of cost of living, which is a global phenomena, for sure. And earlier on you're asking me if allowing everything to be discussed is a loss for government. But then you also need to understand, if you are to compare that, then it's an opportunity now for government to continue to actually push the agenda that as basically on the finance bill, even as these talks go on. So is that a loss to the opposition and a win to government? Not really. I mean, but if you look at the issue of taxation, no country can ever develop without its citizens and those who play within those borders contributing toward that particular economic growth and progress. And we keep talking of countries that have developed, countries that those countries have developed because they pay taxes. The problem that we have had and we continue to have in Kenya and in Africa, and this is partly why we are very strongly, actually our number one agenda on the Katiba review is leadership and governance, or leadership and integrity, chapter 6, because we have not fully embraced chapter 6 in leadership and governance, because corruption is really what is ailing us. And I'll give you some few figures here. But let's just agree, and at least from my side, I'm telling you that the issue of taxation is not a bad thing. And the way it is structured is also not a bad thing. Our problem is corruption, which actually is about the leaders who are in place. And I'm hoping that, and that is the part of the problem, that we have left this at the goodwill of a good leader, so that if we have a leader who is championing issues of anti-corruption, then maybe, and then we get a leader who cares less, then that's actually a problem, the rule of law. We should not have any gap on issues corruption, especially when you and I are going back to our pockets to actually cough more, just so that we can have all the services that we have. My personal example, where this week, students are going back to school.
True.
My brother, we are being taxed as individuals. The money that we pay for those who are going for primary, secondary, college, and you see the real need. The communities, at least from those we come, are begging and crying. Can we basically collect the taxes and ensure that actually education is free? It is possible. The example that I wanted to give you, without taking much of your space, the example that I wanted to give you is the mention by the previous president, former president, and the acknowledgement by government that we lose in excess of 2 billion shillings every day. And that number is, in my view, higher than that.
Sure.
Do simple math. 2 billion shillings every day comes to 60 billion shillings.
Every month.
Every month. Comes to 720 billion shillings every year. Do simple math on that. 700 billion, I'm just talking of leakage. That the money that we are losing to corruption. And corruption is not just people in government, not just, it's all of us, even those of us in the private sector. Actually, we participate in that. But take that money, assuming, let me just use a figure here, assuming that we had, right now we have 1,400 wards. Assuming that, okay, I'm just using a number, assuming that we have 2,000 wards, or that the wards were extended, increased, because we will be talking about boundaries review here.
Exactly. In fact, it's the next story that I want us to look at.
That wards are increased to about 2,000. 2,000 wards. If we were just taking the money that we are losing to corruption, 720 billion dollars, shillings, divided to 200 wards, that is I'm not talking about money that we have devolved structurally and the money that goes to good use. That is 360 million shillings. Which ward did you come from, Maura?
I come from Njoro Ward, Nakuru County.
Njoro Ward.
Yes.
Assuming that you'd be receiving additional 360 million shillings every year that goes to education, that goes to health, that goes to roads, that goes to other social services, how would that ward look like? I'm just talking of simple math, money that is being lost, acknowledged by government, and I've taken the conservative figure of 2 billion shillings. What transformation would you see in your ward? And even the issue that we're talking about of youth unemployment, with 360 million shillings every year in Mfangano Ward in Lake Victoria, from where I come, imagine what difference that would make. And in 5 years, with let's say within that political term,
the point is home.
How much should that?
The point is home, Daktari, and because we have to move to the topic, I want us to look at the very last story, and that is the top story on the Star that speaks about big crisis looms over boundary review process. The Constitution says that the boundaries should be reviewed in between 8 years and 12 years. The last year is next year, 2024. We don't have a single commissioner within the IEBC. And question here lingers, then what is the way forward, given that this has to happen? We have constituencies already that are not having the requisite population. We have others that are overpopulated. And in terms of service delivery, this boundary review is really, really important. Where does this place us as a country, given that there is also no end in sight in getting an IEBC commission soon?
There is an end in sight, and this is why we call on leaders to be serious about leadership. Because the crisis at IEBC and now that we are extending to boundary reviews is basically man-made. It's just carelessness or lack of leadership. Yes, the Bomas conversation is actually supposed to deal with that as an issue, and you saw that one of the steps that they took was to write to the commission or the team that is supposed to be getting commissioners to be in place. That to me is a very small issue, and really should not be in the front page, because it can be sorted out by just basically leaders. In fact, that one does not even require them to wait until we go back to Parliament, or it does not even require them as to actually go the popular initiative way or parliamentary way. Because remember, the reason, at least in the wisdom of this, of the team, Bomas team, that they sought out IEBC SAP, is that regardless, our popular initiative will actually have to go through IEBC.
Sure.
The parliamentary initiative, if it comes through, will actually have to go through IEBC. Anything else, any election, because we also have by-elections that are pending, we'll have to go. So that is a low-hanging fruit. Actually, if you are figuratively to put it, that is a fruit that has already dropped. We just need to pick it and put it in the basket. Sort that out. Let them agree. Stop that impasse. Let them agree. Have the IEBC be in place. And remember that in the proposal that actually we're coming up with, this will be addressed substantively. But the formation of getting the additional commissioners, that should be easy. That can be done in less than 3 months.
Boundary review is highly political. Why I think matters, even if we get a commission, then the process ought to have been given a lot of time. Yeah. Because you have seen in this country areas which are 2 counties, 2 constituencies laying claim to a particular area. Yeah. Others have actually led to clashes between communities because of boundary issues. So, and then here comes the question, because this was also the question about who is a commission. Is it something that perhaps the Secretariat can kickstart? Do we hope that the Secretariat actually has kickstarted this process, so by the time commissioners are coming in, it becomes a smooth process towards the end? And this is something that, of course, we need to look for the CEO, Marjan, to tell us what exactly it is that they are doing to contribute. But from where you sit, do you think that the Secretariat by now, would you advise the Secretariat by now to have a way forward in terms of boundary review, so that by the time we're having a commission in place, we are done with it once and for all? Because by 2024, this should be done. Remember, we are speaking about this at a time when some constituencies do not have representatives in this country. There is a constituency in Mandera that lost a member of parliament. The time for filling that particular seat is long overdue. They don't have a member of parliament, and some lawyers were actually arguing that they need to go to court and see whether parliament is constitutional. So not having an IEBC in this process begs the question then, what is the role of the Secretariat?
Good question. And that is why I take you back to always the importance of actually leadership and integrity. But what we have now, nothing stops Parliament from actually putting a caretaker commission today. In fact, the president, there are ways, there are provisions, there are ways actually you can do the right thing and have a caretaker commission for even a period of 6 months, if that is going to be a substantive issue that we address with the Katiba review. But currently, there are people who are actually sitting at IBC, earning money. And these people, I can tell you, at least a few of them that I know, they are working. They are working. And we need to look at the commission. Are they 7 or 9? The commission as actually a policy organ of the IBC. The work that is supposed to be done, most of it is with the Secretariat. And I believe that they are doing the best they can to a point whereby by the time we'll have a commission in place, or we'll have the commissioners, they will be able to actually just present proposals, and these guys will actually hit the road running. But my proposal, and I know I'm not wrong on this, we can actually have a caretaker commission. All right. 6 months to deal with some of the issues, and nothing stops Parliament from actually doing that.
All right. Daktari, let's now move to the topic of the day. And in our poster, we said that we are looking at the forays by the president. He has been moving across the country. Yes, he is mandated to move across the country as head of state. He has just concluded his 5-day tour in Western Kenya. Before that, you saw him in the central region. He was also in the coast region. And he has been actually 1 year in office, almost to all the 47 counties, I think, aside from some very few counties in the north, that is the northeastern counties. Some are saying that the president is campaigning. The strategy he is using is what he used while he was deputy president and being accused of early campaigning. Do you share the same opinion?
I do not share that opinion. Actually, I sit here as an interested party. I come from Nyanza. I come from Fangano Island. And I'm wondering why the president, for over how long has he been in power now? 1 year?
Some 2 weeks to 1 year.
So let's just
because by 13th of September.
And I'm wondering why the president has not been to Fangano Island. You know, I don't think he's campaigning. He's a symbol of unity. Actually, if the president was just sitting here at State House in Nairobi, we would be complaining that he's just sitting in Nairobi holding cabinet meetings and meeting foreign leaders and atujui anafanya nini, you know, asi anakaa tu huko Nairobi. Let him go to the people. Let the people feel. Did you even know that we had a state lodge in Kakamega?
Yes, I did.
That, wacha uongo bwana.
Yes, I did.
I mean, the president going to the people. He's a political leader. So any day, even if he's sitting at State House and making, he can sit at State House and make statements every single day. You remember those days, Moi, when news started with
Mtukufu Rais.
Mtukufu Rais. I think that is, it's a good thing that the president is demystifying presidency and bringing it to the people, so that actually the people can see. And regardless of where he goes, he's a political leader. He'll be seen as campaigning, and of course he has to campaign. He has to tell the people that this is what I'm doing for you. This is what I promised that I would do for you. And he said that he'll go to every corner of this country, the corners that gave him most votes and the corners that gave him less votes, because he's now the president. And if we're talking of a symbol of national unity, that is really what the president should be doing. The people who are complaining that he's campaigning is the people who are also campaigning. You know,
because actually, Dr. the counter effect of this would be if those complaining that he is campaigning, or those who share the thought that the president is campaigning, the counter effect would be that the other side, whichever side would intend to campaign against him in the 2027 general election, will also hit the road. Then the next thing is that the country will be in a constant campaign mode, which is what we sort of would want to move away from, so that people are able to work.
You know, Maura, let me just cut you short. The other side will hit the road. The other side never even left the road. Which road are they even hitting? They never left the road. They are still on the road. The newspapers, you cover issues of politics every single day. Actually, if you don't put anything political in the front page, you feel like your papers are not selling. So I don't think that we should be afraid of engaging in political dialogue. But the president has to go. So even if the other side that has never left the road continues to go on the road, you know, and that's part of the problem in Kenya. In Kenya, the moment the election is announced or the winner is announced in any seat, that is the day that the next campaign begins. So there's nobody who ever left the road. But I really would not discourage the president from visiting the rest of the country just because of the fear that the other guys will hit the road because they never left the road to begin with. That is why we are always in a campaign mode. But it's not a bad thing, because you yourself, Maura, you come here every morning to do your work, and your work is to actually inform us of what's going on. I wake up every morning to go to my office to do my work. And part of that, I also get to listen to you, hey, what's Maura saying, what is in the papers, so that I know what is going on, but I actually work. The problem, which is actually we're also attempting to cure, and as we now get into our main topic, is that why do we have to fight? The reason we have this great front page in Nation today, and the reason I commended you, is because for us in the private sector, in business, we've now been given a space to work and do business. But why do we have to fight every 5 years? Because we end up with only 3 years that we work. The last year or the last 2 years to elections, it is campaign. Moto, it may charge. Investors are fleeing. Business people do not spend for fear of what will happen for 1 year. Then a year after that, remember, it's just a year after election. We are now seeing the smile on the front page. I mean, so we waste 2 years, and we try to actually do business in 1 or 2 years, and then we go back to the cycle again. And what is the cycle? After every election, there is violence. After every election, there's anxiety. After every election, can we then cure this through a Katiba review? That's important.
Well, Dr. While we are not critiquing the president moving across the country, at least not as a media, it is the sentiments shared by some other people. And we have that responsibility to also report what the concerns are. And many are saying that the president is back to the ground. Yes, it is the best ruling strategy. According to President William Ruto, it is the script he wants to follow. But many are also saying that he was pushed out of Nairobi back to the ground because of the unease that was in the country, especially occasioned by the demonstrations that were being pushed by the opposition, cost of living, which was a reality, and other issues. So that is what makes it look like a campaign now. In fact, I remember speaking to Professor Macharia Munene, who says the president, in his own words, the president is demonstrating against the demonstrations.
I disagree with the good professor, and I'll explain why. And Maura, I'm not blaming the media for bringing this up. I mean, I think this is a good thing, and let it be in the public domain for discussion and also awareness. And that is why we call you the fourth estate, a very important arm of government after the three arms of government. If you look at if you know President Ruto's philosophy, being the hustler or the chief hustler, do you remember that he was branded by his former boss? And I don't want to sit here appearing like I'm a Ruto campaigner, but do you remember he was first referred to as Tanga Tanga?
Yes, I remember.
And the president said, mkiona huyu jamaa akikuja kutangatanga huku, mumwambie ile shida mko nayo aniletee. And then he embraced that name and he said, yes, I will continue to tangatanga. And we didn't know that actually he was taking it and he took it positively. You also remember when he went to one of the engagements, I think here in Nairobi, where he was giving out wheelbarrows, and then they decided to.
It was at the deputy president's residence.
Was it at the residence?
It was at the residence where he sat on a wheelbarrow.
When he sat on a wheelbarrow, and we started, but then he converted that into a party symbol that actually is on a flag. It set out. But there's a point that I have to conclude with just in a few seconds. It is important that the president goes to the people. And that is partly why I like this idea of devolving national functions to the counties around the country, so that the people would feel that they are part of these governments.
It is important that the president moves to the people. That's according to Dr. Mark Matunga. But we'll be speaking about the message that the president then gives when he goes to the people that may push some other quarters to feel like, look, President William Ruto is already campaigning for 2027. That is after this break. We take our second break here on AM Live. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. I have in studio Dr. Mark Matunga. Clearly, the member of parliament for Nakuru East, David Gikaria, is not turning up. Like I said earlier, our poster indicated that we'll be having the Honorable Caleb Amisi, MP Saboti. We received an apology from him, but no apology from the Honorable David Gikaria. We take this break. We continue with that conversation when we come back.
Acne's Creamy Wash is a foamy and gentle cleanser that removes sebum and dirt in the pores. Step 2. Acne Soothing Toner maintains skin pH. Step 3. Acne Sealing Gel quickly clears pimple-causing bacteria. The latent acne clears, cares, and helps prevent pimple. When you're finally released from pain, that moment when you start to get back to ordinary, and ordinary feels
in many ways describes many of our lives where we are at. but present with us always is the Spirit of God. In a sense, hovering, looking to speak into our lives and to say, let there be light. And I pray this is what will happen in the family series. The areas of darkness that exist, we pray that God will say, let there be light.
Hey yo, what's up, Republicans? So now, with just 4 months to go to the end of the year, what are some of the resolutions that have been achievable to you? Na kama kawaida pale studioni tuwaletea bonge la show because we are gonna be having the amazing Dogo Richie na mwenzake Master Uti.
Shuka mini kupokee mama njeve ikishika.
Na pale kwenye mziki mtai hold down the Afro King way alongside the super dancers. Msikose kuwatch.
Sikia shware shore nipe pale pale.
Ndio hiyo na ndio hapa basi nimekuja nikufahamishe na nikuambie live and direct. Usiwahi amini binadamu. Mwanzo waliokuambia hapa basi bila shaka pale uwachague maisha itakuwa rahisi. Ndio hiyo maisha imekuwa ngumu zaidi. Waliokuambia hapa basi bila shaka pale usili na usikunywe ujifunge kama una Yesu na macho. Basi ndio huyo wewe umekauka umekufa. Ai, mwishowe kaenda jehanamu. Waliokuambia hapa basi watumie fea, wameshaikula na hawakukuja. Waliokuambia hapa basi bila shaka pale
To get stories ajaba, dial *811*851#.
Skiza, Nan Nation. Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo Kilifi. SMS Vipingo to 22365 or call us today on 0740 400 215. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, welcome back. You're watching M Live NTV. My name is Ibrahim Karanja, and we've been having our conversation about the forays done by the president across the country. We are asking, is he the campaigning president? Because that is a concern that is coming from various quarters. Of course, Dr. Mark Matunga says that the president is not campaigning, that he is actually doing what he is mandated to do as a head of state. And that we agree. But the messaging that the president has been giving out there is also seen as campaigning. He has not once referred to the next elections, to an extent of saying, hawa watu wasipojipanga hata agent watakosa. And this is while telling the people. And Dr. Matunga, the messaging by the president, when he goes to, for instance, Mount Kenya last week, 2 weeks ago, and the reason as to why I believe Professor Macharia Munene was saying that he is demonstrating against the demonstrations, it was just at that time when the National Dialogue Committee had been formed. And the people of Central Kenya were afraid because this is now how it was viewed by political pundits. The people of Central Kenya were afraid that this might lead to a handshake. Then what was seen in the previous regime is seen. So Professor Macharia Munene was saying the president is going to reassure the people of Central Kenya that, look, that will not happen. And true to it, when he was speaking, he said, munataka serikali ya nusu mkate, munataka handshake, na uhakikishia haitafanyika. So the messaging by the president in different regions, look at him right now in Western Kenya and convincing the people of Western Kenya to, come to his fold. That also gives credence to those people who are saying, look, it is campaigns.
Ibrahim, let me first of all sort out something here. Give me your full names. How many names do you have? Ibrahim
Karanja.
No, I mean, yeah, so it's Ibrahim Karanja Maura. So I can choose to call you by any of those names. But let's go with Karanja.
Anyway, let's move on.
We go with Karanja. The president is a political leader. He's a political figure. We must accept that him being a president and maintaining his presidency and also hoping to win the next election, he must convince the people that actually, yes, you voted for me on these grounds. This is what I am committing that I will do. And I'm already doing ABCD. And this is what I'm doing just so that you can also vote me again. So there's really nothing wrong with that. However, I mean, when he has a slip of tongue, like in Western Kenya recently, which I think to me is basically a slip of tongue. I don't think he meant that Mwende Binguni. He was just upset.
But he has repeated that statement.
Well,
if you mean the
yeah,
Mambo ni Tatu,
yeah,
he has repeated it. He repeated it.
Yes, but I think that what the president should have done, at least in my view, I still call it a slip of tongue, whether you repeat it or not. I think that it didn't come out well the first time. I think even him repeating it doesn't mean much, but it didn't come out well. That third pillar, the third aspect of what he said, when the Binguni, because that then would mean that he's saying that we'll eliminate you.
No, he did not. He says Mwende Binguni, and that is something he spoke about yesterday.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that did not come out well. And as a leader, what you need to do is that you say, hey, this is not what I meant. I am sorry, I apologize. But you see, that is also part of the problem that we have in our leadership, leadership and integrity. But I think what we call campaigning, I don't think that the president should not reiterate the grounds upon which the majority gave him the votes, and to reassure those Kenyans. I just disclosed to you that I'm waiting for him to visit Mfangano Island, and I want him to actually visit Mfangano, because Karanja, there's never been a visit by the head of state in Mfangano Island. That is how marginalized we feel we are. And so if we're asking him, the people of Mfangano are asking him to come. And then when he goes, we say that he's campaigning. No, I mean that, and even the other side, led by our honorable Raila Odinga, whom I have a lot of respect for, and he knows that I have a lot of respect for him. We also want him to actually go to places. I'm always very grateful to Mama Aida Odinga and Raila Odinga. They have visited me in my home. They visited my mother when we were doing housewarming for my mother's house. So it's good that we receive guests. The people of Mandera, or the people of Moyale, if you as a media personality, you've gone to some of these parts of Kenya, that you even ask yourself that, hey, huku pia ni Kenya. And it's a good thing for actually the president to go to some of those places. And there are also good things that actually come with the presidential visit to whichever place. Who would not want to actually host the president in their home or in their neighborhood? Who wouldn't want to actually do that? I think the issue that we're dealing with here is the messaging. But I also don't want to, the president being a symbol of unity now, his messaging should turn around bringing everyone together. And I think raising the political sound bites that ntawanyorosha tena, but that's politics. And of course he's responding to one or two things that the opposition are saying. But I think that what the president needs to do, in my view, just to basically watch his language. He's the symbol of unity today, whether we voted for him or not. And in his commitment to unite Kenya, his language might need to be tempered a little bit.
There is something that is very important to note, and I'd want you to perhaps break it down to us on what that means to our politics. And we did not see much of this in the previous regime, where the president visits a certain place and all leaders from that region, be it from the opposition or from government, come to attend the president's meeting. And some of them are very resolute and saying, look, we are not on the same political sides, but I I'm here to support the development project. We saw that in Kisii. We've seen that in Western Region. What does that say? Has our politics now matured enough so that we can have a conversation when it comes to issues that matter? Because previously, you'd see, especially during President Kenyatta's tenure, he would go to a certain area, and if the governor is not from his side, he would not attend. Remember the incident with Governor Joho in Mombasa. This ability by President William Ruto to bring on board leadership, what does it speak to our politics?
You know, I think I saw in one of the shows where somebody was saying that, I think it was Kabando who was saying that, you know, opposition leaders who are elected should not attend presidential functions. And I strongly disagree with him. I think that is naivety. Maturity calls for engaging and you know, as a governor, let me just say, as a governor, you're also the symbol of unity for that county. You lead those who voted for you and those who didn't vote for you. When a head of state, who is a symbol of national unity, comes to your county, whether you're from his party or not, it behooves you to actually come. And even if you disagree with him, like we have seen many governors, you know, like my good friend Simba Arati, he's never missed a single presidential function. Some of my governors from Nyanza have, and I think that that's wrong. That's immaturity. Go to where the president is. He's an elected leader just like you are, but he's our symbol of national unity. Where you disagree with him, you can say, President, you have this kind of policy. It doesn't work for us. From our side of things, that one, but we agree on ABCD. Let's move forward on this. And that is the kind of maturity, political maturity, that I think I even want to be able to see. Like the other day when we had the Evolution Conference in Eldoret, some governors say that, hey, we will not attend. Why? Because, or whatever it is. I think it is Orengo who said that I will not attend because of, you know, our securities was withdrawn. But then his party leader, and this is why you have to give Raila credit. Raila showed up and spoke to the delegates and spoke to the country. That is what we call maturity in our political space. So this thing of what do you call it when somebody akona wivu ya kiutoto, that really should not happen. All members of parliament should be attending national functions or presidential. When the president comes to your constituency, please attend. You are leading the people who voted for you and the people who didn't vote for you.
I think we've been accustomed to structures where even if members of parliament from the opposition attend a presidential function, then they're either sidelined from addressing whatever gathering that is, or if they address, they are shaped to speak in a certain way, which I think at this particular time I'm seeing a difference, because I've seen members of parliament tell the president, we don't agree with you on ABCD, but you're the president, which is exactly what, again, Governor Simba Arati told President William Ruto. That speaks to the character of the president, to sit there and take this criticism while still, you know, listening to these leaders.
Give the president credit. Give the president credit for it. That to me is the growth in leadership and maturity that we actually want to see. Because, I mean, Ibrahim, I keep taking you back to this headline. Just the fact that Raila is here smiling and Ruto is here smiling, it means a lot to the country, to the nation. And you see president when he's sitting there and he's being criticized, you don't see him frowning. And even if he comes to speak and he wants to respond to ABCD, it would be sort of like in a jovial way, that almost in a joking manner, that you make light of the moment. Not that the issue is made light, but you make it easy so that you don't create tension in a country unnecessarily. And that is why you don't see presidential functions being disrupted. before you'd see that there's a presidential function, shoes are being thrown, bullets are, and that is the, you've seen the president has gone to Nyanza how many times? He's gone there almost 4 times.
Sure.
Has there been an incident? No. Because the way you actually carry yourself, and even what you say, you don't invoke, you don't go there and start insulting Raila. He's never gone there to insult Raila. He speaks to issues that actually matter to the people of Nyanza. And where possible, and this is partly why we also need to deal with the issue of devolution, whereby we are talking of 15%, because most of the resources are still at national government. So if national government still have the resources, we actually need to devolve this to the wards, so that the president is just basically a symbol of national unity. Not that whenever he comes with a bag of good, but he has to do that because he still have 85% that he has to go and dish out development to other parts of the country.
The tours are christened as developmental. Everywhere he goes, there is something that he's doing that is to develop that particular area and at the end of the day develop the country. Most of these projects, or at least fair enough, some of them have been done under his tenure. But most of the projects, and we saw this when he went to central Kenya, even people highlighting particular roads that the president was going to launch, was said to be roads that were, or projects that were launched earlier that are being relaunched. Yeah. So one, we would want to get what that means, and that perhaps to show that then it's all about politics, because this project is already on, and other projects we cannot not say were projects done, say, under the previous regime, the handshake regime, which President William Ruto calls it that way. Yeah. A regime in which he said did nothing for 4 years. He said that by the time we had the handshake for 4 years, the 4 years were lost. So when we see the president getting to launch projects done under that particular period, or projects that he had previously launched as deputy president, what does it communicate?
Well, I mean, you know, Ibrahim, you're putting me in a situation to want to appear like I'm the spokesperson for government. No, I'm not government spokesperson. I have to be fairly clear in my mind and balanced here, sure, and give due where it serves. If you listen to the things or look at the projects that the president is launching, where I want to actually support the president in launching or relaunching these projects. I'll give you an example of my home area. I come from Suba region. So we have Suba North, Milio Diambo, Member of Parliament. We have Suba South, Karoli Mundi, Member of Parliament. Before we had Mheshimiwa Mbadi as Member of Parliament for Suba South. There is a road that was launched that was going to run between Mbita, from Mbita, Sindo, Magunga, and Sori. And there were contractors on the ground. And they mobilized and they did some work. I think they only did about 10%. And then they abandoned the project. For now, almost going to about 8 years, 7 years. But it was launched. Okay. We want the president of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to actually come and relaunch that project, put money in that project, and ensure that that project is actually completed. So would I be saying that the president is playing politics? No. We want that done. Even if he launched it before and it stalled for one reason or the other, government did not actually pay the contractor, money was not actually put in that. And there are many such projects across the country. There are many. Yes, we say that there was the work that was done in the handshake. And again, give President credit for that. That he is launching projects that were done with the handshake or in the handshake regime. Do you want him to actually stall those projects? Do you want him?
The issue comes.
Do you want him to kill those projects?
No, not to kill the other projects. The issue comes. Yeah. Hold on. The issue comes with.
But I've not finished my.
On one end, him standing on a podium and saying, during the 4 years of the handshake, nothing happened. Then on the other hand, the same president is launching projects that happened between 2018 and 2022, which is the period he's calling the handshake period.
I'm coming to that. So do you want him to actually stop those projects? No, he can't stop them. He should actually continue and support them. As a politician, do you want him to turn around and say, hii ilifanywa na serikali ya Uhuru, sasa asante sana bwana Uhuru Kenyatta? No, I mean, he's a politician. There is, no, I don't think I'll get the correct translation of this phrase. It's in Luo, say that that the cow has calved during his tenure, so it is him to actually drink the milk, you know. But I also think that politics, there are elements of politics that, and they campaigned on that platform as well, how the handshake basically stalled a lot of projects. That is his right. That is his right. And then it's your job and my job as a Kenyan to actually basically see the difference and say that Apo, President, lakini ulisema hiyo, but you've stretched the truth hapo kidogo, hapa umeenda sawa. And that is why we should actually go to these meetings. Members of parliament should actually be able to go to even the president's meeting and say, President, this one, you are from this party, but this was done by the handshake.
You think he should be told that?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that it was done by the handshake, why don't you go and claim your glory? Don't we have Azimio who are handshake partners? No, I mean, go there as a member of parliament. When you chicken away, I mean, like, you know, the members of parliament who are supposed to be with me here. So how many parties are now 2 hours?
2 hours of speaking about this. Now,
of engaging in good conversation. And
yes,
dialogue.
looking forward now, these movements, what does it mean as we move into the remaining years of his presidency? Because remember, he's just 1 year into office. The moment he'll be finishing 2 years, the election will be nearer. As he does 3 years, it's even nearer. Yeah. So what do you foresee? The visits are bound to be more, and then will that mean to the political scene in the country in 2026, 2027, if God gives us life to them?
Ibrahim, the reality is that Dr. William Ruto is a scientist, yes, but he's a politician. And he knows his strategy. And I seem to see a situation whereby he believes that his strategy of going to the people will work for him. He tangatanged the country and became
for 4 years.
And became popular.
Sure.
Wacha tange, and it'll work for him because places that he shall have not have visited, wewe umekuwa president for 4 years, na hujakuja hapa kwetu. And you know, you remember when he was campaigning, at some point he would come to, I think you guys even told us the number. I don't remember the exact number, that how many times had he been to Central Kenya?
I need to confirm, but it was almost many
times. How many times have he been to Western? If you remember, I think even his very first function outside Nairobi was in Bungoma, if you remember, where I think he went to church. Shock on you and me, his I think that was it 2 weeks after his election, he came to Homa Bay.
Yes, he did.
You remember?
He did.
And you think the people of Homa Bay will forget? I mean, he has his strategy, and his strategy seems to be working for him. How will this play out in the elections? We can do a wait and see, but it seems to be working for him. He's endearing himself to the people.
It definitely is working, and that informs why I'm asking what it means 2026, 2027. Because to give you an example, when he did that constant visit to Central Kenya between 2018 and 2022, we all saw the results. He was able to dethrone Uhuru Kenyatta out of his own backyard. Right now, he is making proper visits to Western Kenya, and proper visits to Nyanza region, be it from the south or coming through the likes of Evans Kidero and the other people, the Karoli Omondes that have moved. So what does it mean to his potential competitors? Because, from example, he has already dethroned a previous perceived kingpin of a region, a sitting president from central Kenya. What does it mean to those who lay claim to Western Kenya? What does it mean to those who lay claim to Nyanza by 2026, 2027?
You know, politics is about the people, and I think politics across the world is about the people and about the masses. And truth be told, he is using development platform, which is something that we need to actually endear himself to the people. But when you look at that, it is very easy to actually bring people from a region into his fold. And that's essentially what he's doing. He's attempted to do that with his, cabinet and appointments configuration, whereby, for the people of Nyanza, we say that he is picked. Yes, we picked a cabinet secretary from Nyanza. Yet the previous government had 4 cabinet secretaries from Nyanza. He's only picked 1. But the messaging is very different. It appears that he's picked more. And remember, he's also appointed the PS for internal security from Nyanza. That should tell you something. And so I almost said the guy is smart, but he's the president. So I say the president is being smart here. And that will actually have impact. I don't want to say that he's attempting to dethrone Raila from his backyard, but essentially without using too much English. That is part of the strategy. You have seen it's never happened before that a sitting president spent a whole 5 days in Western Kenya in the history of this country.
I want to put you on the spotlight here, Daktari.
It's never happened. Of course, I mean, Central Kenya, that has happened before. Mombasa, that has happened before. But I think he's changing his plan, that instead of hit and run, let me just go.
5 days, it's a
5
block.
days. It's a block. And that also actually injects something in the economy of that region. Because the president being there, cabinet secretary, all government being there, I think one of his cabinet secretary, I think it must have been Owalo, who said sometime in Nyanza that, hey, we will bring you into government of William Ruto. And if you don't come into William Ruto's government, we will bring government of William Ruto to you.
And that's what I've asked.
That's what he said. He's a politician. He's doing good politics, basically integrating that and infusing that with development. And that will have impact. Look at what he's just done in Western Kenya. I can tell you, he's moved that needle quite a bit. And it will not be easy to actually push it back. Remember, he's halali kwa kazi. Anafanya kazi. That will have impact. And I know he's also planning for a few more days in Nyanza. And he's planning for a few more days in all the regions, in all the greater 8 to 9 regions. That strategy will work for him.
That's a strategy that enables him to move. That strategy is rather enabled by the fact that he is the incumbent president. And these are things he needs to do. And I need to put you on the spotlight. If William Ruto then maintains this strategy, because he has done it for 1 year, he'll be marking 1 year on the 13th of September. Today is 2 weeks to the 13th of September. He has maintained it. He has moved to across the country. Honestly, a yes or no question. Those who intend, and by this I don't mean a specific person, those who intend then to unseat him in 2027, from where you sit, do they stand a chance?
No.
Why?
No, but you asked me yes or no. So
yes, now I want now a deeper thought.
For the same reason. For the same reason that actually, as a deputy president, and he used that platform, even though with the challenges being stopped by the handshake, he used that platform to do what he did. And being a president now, he has a bigger platform. He has the bully pulpit. And he still has 85% of the resources, national resources, to actually go and again, and like I said, that is part of why we are saying in the review process that need to be managed properly. It's not going to be easy because for the opposition or anybody who wants to actually go and challenge him to do what he is doing. Of course, Raila can do it with little money in terms of he can go to a place without having to audition a development and talk to the people. That is one thing. That's one strength that he has. He pulls crowds wherever. You saw the other day in Kajiado. He was just taking a brief walk or drive, and then so people loves him. So he's also one person actually who can pull that crowd, but he doesn't have the benefit of development opportunities to actually dish out, and these things will actually stick with the minds of in the minds of people, because if William Ruto, as an outsider in the conversation, was able to turn around central Kenya, and using this same strategy that he's using now on a bully pulpit on the presidential platform, it is a tall order.
It is a tall order.
It is a tall
for
order.
whoever will intend to compete.
I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I'm just saying
it is a tall order. Thank you very much, Dr. Mark Matunga, who has been with us for 1 hour, 30 minutes. It has been an interesting conversation to have you.
6 hours.
We definitely will invite you again on AM Live to shed light on other issues, topical issues of the country. But that is where we bring AM Live to a close this morning, the Thursday, last day of August 2023. It has been a pleasure to host you alongside the amazing team here at NTV, Jackson Blackjack, the director on the other end, Mabel Ochieng, our producer, and the entire team, the magnificent team in the gallery, plus our boss, the editor of this particular show, Dan Mwangi, who has been very supportive in getting the content out there. So my name is Ibrahim Karanja. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.